Hey folks, today is Friday, February 23rd, 2018. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, here to talk about some video game stuff every week. The first thing we have to talk about is a couple of my favorite things. Star Wars, video games, and EA. I guess not one of my favorite things. But this new rumor suggests that EA is apparently on the chopping block with Lucasfilm, the people behind the Star Wars franchise. Now, of course, this is a rumor. Take it all with a grain of salt. This is from a site that I'm not usually familiar with, but they cite that sources suggest that Disney and Lucasfilm have been shopping around two new publishers to work on Star Wars games because they've been unsatisfied at the rate EA has been turning out the games. And it does make sense if you look at it. You see this big company like Disney, they come in, they have a multi-year exclusivity deal with EA, seemingly thinking that they're going to be churning out big budget, huge games, no problem. And so far, all we've really gotten is Battlefront 1 and 2. They shit-canned Amy Hennig's game, and Respawn's game is still a ways away. So I will say that this story sounds like exactly what you would expect. If I was a company, I would be a little jammed up with EA, not only with the controversy, but with their performance. However, this is just a rumor. Things like this have happened before. Stranger things have happened before. The rumor also suggests that Star Wars has been talking to people like Ubisoft, which I don't know about that. Also, to play devil's advocate, if you think about it with this, there are still games being made. EA does, like I said, have the Respawn game in the pipeline, which means that EA's contract with Star Wars isn't just going to end in 6 months. It definitely seems like it was more of a long-term thing. But of course, there are some things that we just don't know. And like I said, we're just going to stick with this one as a rumor. Next, we got to talk about two of my other favorite things. We're just talking about all my favorite things this week, and that is Final Fantasy and Half-Life. I don't really understand. What did you just... What if you hit? But it looks like Final Fantasy 15's big PC release and big complete edition release is getting some exclusivity stuff, and the PC version is going to get a Gordon Freeman costume. I shit you not. Look at this. This is real. This is Noctis, who I guess is cutting his hair and putting on glasses, or it's the character customization thing. It is legit Gordon Freeman's HEV suit, straight up, and he'll even fight with a crowbar. And in action, it actually looks pretty cool. These screenshots are kind of awesome. I just never thought this would be a thing. It's interesting to see that Valve is still making deals and pushing the Half-Life brand, but in such a bizarre-ass way. Like, this is not the Half-Life 3 I expected at all. It's a little more anime than I was hoping, but no slight against anime. I'm sorry. No, anime's great.
Let me tell you about Dragon Ball.
Oh, I'll tell you. Now, we've talked about the re-release of Final Fantasy 15 a couple times, and I still am blown away just by how different this game is. This just leads to even more. This game is so different from when a lot of us jumped in and played it back when it first released. So I'm posing the question to you guys if you're actually going to go back and play it again. Will you play it again just to get a little Gordon Freeman action? Even though it's not technically really Gordon Freeman, it's just the suit. I don't know. But moving on from there, let's talk about Metal Gear Survive. Yeah, I'm sorry. It did release this week that's my reaction. I played it. It's okay. It's not the worst game. It's not really a game I want. It's a little generic. But the news, and I have confirmed that I have seen it with my own eyes, is the fact that multiple character save slots, you get one, the rest are actually locked behind purchases that you have to make with the in-game coins. And the way you get those coins is through microtransactions. So, roughly buying one new character save slot in Metal Gear Survive costs you 10 real-world dollars.
So fucked up.
That is really fucked up. It's so, with me as the type of player, like, I'm good with one character slot. A lot of times there are only certain games where I do a bunch of saves. So it doesn't bother me that much, but still, I think the grand scheme of things, the big picture in terms of just as a consumer, I think that sucks. This is lame. This sets a really bad precedent. It's a very bad idea. I'm not surprised that it's been purported by none other than Konami. And it's funny because other than that, the microtransactions in the game are pretty inobtrusive, but this one just really bites off way more than it can chew. And it's kind of insulting for them to squander away a feature like that. That's something that you as a person who buys a game should have not a right, but like you should have it. I don't know. I guess it's not the worst thing in the world just because a lot of people out there weren't even planning on playing the game, so I guess this doesn't really affect you. But I do think it could set a dangerous precedent, and I hope we never see anything like that going forward again. But speaking of questionable things, a Rhode Island Republican representative has proposed a plan to essentially add an extra 10% tax on violent video games. Due to the recent events and conversations going on, the violent video game topic has also resurfaced, and this representative representative is introducing this legislation to essentially tax the video games by 10% and then take that extra earned tax and put it into a fund towards mental health funds. So essentially the extra money from this tax would be taken and put towards a good cause. But of course, my cynical ass is saying, is that money really going to go towards a good cause? And we're not going to get into politics at all here because I am not what you would call smart, but it is a conversation once again being had, and I do think you guys need to be aware, especially with video games. In the past, it has been ruled as something protected under the First Amendment. So the way this legislation is looking is that it cannot get rid of the video games so it can do other things around them. Now, a lot of people are freaking out about this. This is a very sexy headline. Is it actually going to happen? I don't know. I don't think so. But like I said, just putting it out there. We don't do a lot of politics stuff, but we figured you guys would be aware because people have been talking about it. But moving on to something really cool I wanted to share. You know, every week we kind of try and find stuff that people make on the internet involving video games. This one is a watch. This is from Eurogamer's Chris Bratt, who does this whole video breaking down a fascinating story about how people heisted Queen Nefertiti's bust, the famous statue from a museum in Berlin. What they did was essentially scan it with Kinects that they hid in their coat. Yes, I shit you not. Because they wanted a 3D scan of the bust, the secretive and it kept very under wraps bust, to be released to the world. I don't want to spoil the whole thing for you. It's a very interesting watch. If it sounds interesting to you, it's linked in the description as well as everything else we talk about this week. But in some news we missed last week, but I think it is worth talking about, the developers behind the upcoming System Shock remake, remaster, have essentially doubled back on what they're doing. They're scaling things back and they're going on a hiatus. Now, they didn't say that they are shutting down production completely, but they are ceasing for right now, citing the fact that they were heading in an incorrect direction with the actual development process. I don't know exactly what that entails, but maybe they were just going about it wrong and finally hit a wall in the development that just made the game not fun. That is something that can very much happen in game development. You spend all this money, all this time, all these different teams working on aspects, and then when you put it together, you don't know if the game will actually be fun. Maybe that was what was going on with the System Shock remake, so they are holding on to everybody's money. It does show that sometimes backing stuff on Kickstarter is a bit of a gamble, but I think thankfully it's good to know once you read past the headline, you realize that they aren't stopping making the game. It's just a temporary thing. So hopefully then maybe when they show what they're working on, maybe it'll be totally different with a new focus or something. I don't know. I wish them luck because that was something I really wanted to get my hands on. But moving on, talking about some trailers we got this week, we got a couple of interesting things. Most notably, after leaks and rumors and teases and us blabbing about it, we're finally getting Burnout Paradise remastered, and the trailer is actually pretty awesome. Now, the big question was, as soon as this was announced, a lot of people thought it was going to have microtransactions, but we have confirmation it's not going to have microtransactions, but the game is still from EA. So I know some people are going to be jammed up regardless. Personally, I want a remaster of Burnout 3 Takedown, but that's just me. Don't shoot the messenger. Look, Paradise is great, but I think Takedown's even better. We also got a new look at Soul Calibur 6. The trailer showcases Ivy and Zasalamel, and they're awesome. Honestly, this is one of the fighting games that I'm actually really looking forward to this year, and it takes a lot for me to get hyped about fighting games, but Soul Calibur is my shit. Also, Fortnite got its Battle Pass Season 3 update detailed, and it's got a lot of interesting stuff in it, like a cool new hoverboard. But something that I think was interesting to point out, especially for you console folks out there, is the fact that the PS4 and Xbox One version of the game is now going to run at 60 FPS, not just PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. Every single console. And I think that's cool. That's great news. That's something pretty awesome. Now, in an interesting development for Call of Duty, I did not expect this, but Sledgehammer has announced that the two heads and founders behind the studio, Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey, are both leaving the company. They're going up to higher executive roles at Activision, which leads me to believe, is this a result as, some people not being happy with Call of Duty World War II? Because I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, World War II wasn't the big explosion revival of Call of Duty that some of us were expecting or hoping it to be. It's still good. But on the other hand, maybe they're just moving up. Maybe it's like a promotion and now they can become the corporate suits that they've always wanted to be. I don't know. Oh, and one last bit in some brief PlayStation news. This flew under my radar, but apparently Troy Baker is going to be in Death Stranding, which is pretty cool. I just felt like we haven't talked about Death Stranding in a while. We used to pour over every detail. And Troy Baker's likable and cool, and surprise, he's in another video game. But at least it's a Kojima game. But before we go, one last thing I want to mention. We did do a Kingdom Come Deliverance glitches video. You guys sent us the glitches and bugs that you found. We reacted to them. It was an awesome time, and now we want to do it again with Fortnite. So if you've come across Fortnite glitches, there's going to be a form in the description below. You go there, you submit your best glitches that you found while playing the game, and maybe we'll react to them. Now, not only that, but some more housekeeping. We got to do that giveaway we do every single week. You know how it works. There's a link in the description below. You sign up, you enter once, then you're entered for good. We're going to keep your name, and then every single week we're going to go in, close our eyes, and randomly choose one person to win a free console of their choice. And this week's winner is going to be this person right here. Congratulations. Be sure to keep an eye on your inbox, your spam box, because Tom is going to be getting in touch with you, figuring out how we can send you your console. Congratulations. It was a weird week for gaming news, but we got to talk about this stuff down in the comments. Number one, as I posed it to you earlier, are you going to play Final Fantasy 15 again if you already played it? Do you think that Gordon Freeman even makes sense in the game? And also, that spicy Star Wars EA rumor. Do you really think Star Wars is looking to make games with a new partner? I see it as unlikely, at least right now, but it does make sense. It's a rumor that at least kind of makes some sense. Also, how much would it suck to get an extra 10% tax on already expensive video games? Not only that, did you play Metal Gear Survive, rather? Does that save slot thing bother you? Do you think that sets a bad precedent? Does that bother you as much as it bothers me? I don't know. Have you been playing Fortnite? How do you feel about the new stuff? Let's talk about any of this stuff down in the comments. I'll be down there talking to you guys. But you know where you can also find me? Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino, as well as our Discord. We're always over there hanging out. But you guys probably know by now, clicking the like button does help us out. We do really appreciate it. And thank you for sticking by us as we kind of decorate this place. It's a little boring right now, but if you haven't subscribed yet, you should, because there's 4 million of you now, and it's insane. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Jake Baldino. Have a good one. What do I say? Have a good one.
Pizza's on me. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Pizza's on me. How did I forget how to say goodbye?